What could drive a man to commit such heinous acts of violence against his own family and innocent bystanders? This is a question that has puzzled many as they grapple with the chilling story of Edmund Kemper. Known as the co-ed killer, Kemper's horrendous crimes have left a lasting imprint on the annals of true crime. Standing a towering 6 feet 9 inches, Edmund Kemper was an imposing figure. But it wasn't just his physical size that was monstrous. His actions, driven by a dark and twisted psyche, induced a level of terror that's hard to comprehend. And yet, Kemper was not your typical criminal. His high IQ, clocking in at an impressive 145, was a stark contrast to the brutality of his crimes, adding another layer to his unsettling enigma. To understand the enigma that is Edmund Kemper, we must first delve into his early life. Edmund Kemper's journey into darkness started early, shaped by a deeply troubled childhood. Born in California in the late 40s, Edmund was the middle child of 3. Raised in a turbulent household, he was subjected to a complex and strained relationship with his mother, Clarnell. A domineering figure, Clarnell was often verbally abusive towards Edmund, belittling him and undermining his self-esteem. This tumultuous relationship would later be a focal point in Edmund's psychological evaluation. As a child, Edmund exhibited signs of disturbing behavior. His fascination with death and dismemberment was evident in his play, often involving decapitation of his sister's dolls. But the magnitude of his dark inclinations didn't fully manifest until he committed his first horrifying crimes against his grandparents when he was just a teenager. One sunny afternoon in the summer of '64, Edmund shot his grandmother in the kitchen of their ranch. When his grandfather returned home, Edmund shot him too, in a misguided attempt to shield him from the shock of his wife's death. This brutal act, committed at the tender age of 15, prompted his first encounter with the mental health system. He was diagnosed with a paranoid and psychotic state, and sent to Atascadero State Hospital for the criminally insane. This was a turning point in Edmund's life, a moment when his violent tendencies were officially recognized and documented. Yet even within the confines of a mental institution, Edmund's intellectual prowess started to shine. He was noted to have an exceptionally high IQ, well above the average. This intelligence would later play a critical role in his ability to manipulate those around him. Yet, for all his intelligence, Edmund was a deeply troubled soul. The chilling acts of violence he committed as a teenager were but a precursor to the monstrous deeds he would later carry out. At the tender age of 15, Kemper had already tasted blood, and his dark journey was only just beginning. Freed from the juvenile system, Kemper was about to become a nightmare for the unsuspecting public. After his release, Kemper made attempts at a so-called normal life. He strived to fit into society, but his past, coupled with his towering height and immense size, made it difficult for him to blend in. He got a job with the state of California's Department of Public Works, but the mundane work did little to quell the ominous storm brewing within him. It wasn't long before the turbulent urges that had forced him into confinement as a child surfaced again. The darkness that Kemper had harbored since his early years began to seep out, taking a terrifying form. His first victims after his release were young female hitchhikers. He would pick them up, drive them to secluded areas, and then, in a chilling echo of his early crimes, he would kill them. The brutality of his crimes was unprecedented. He didn't just kill his victims, he dismembered them, taking perverse pleasure in the act. His urge to kill was insatiable, and it seemed to grow with every passing day. The savage nature of his murders sent shockwaves through the community. Fear gripped the area, yet no one suspected the quiet, towering man who worked for the state during the day and turned into a monster at night. Kemper's crimes escalated in their horror, culminating in the murders of his own mother and her friend. He was spiraling out of control, but he remained a ghost, a phantom hidden in plain sight. His ability to elude capture only heightened the terror spreading across the region. As the body count rose, so too did the fear, yet Kemper remained a shadow in the background. The grisly tale of Edmund Kemper was far from over, and the worst was yet to come. The chilling confession that would finally unmask the monster was on the horizon. The terror would only end when Kemper himself decided it was time. Edmund Kemper, a man whose name would become synonymous with cold-blooded horror, was about to make his final, chilling act. After a series of brutal murders, Kemper's final act of violence came in the form of matricide. He murdered his own mother, a crime that would shock even the most hardened of investigators. But the tale takes an even darker turn. Not content with his grim deed, Kemper invited his mother's friend over to the house, only to murder her as well. And then, in a move that left seasoned detectives astounded, Kemper picked up the phone and dialed the police. His voice was calm, steady, almost casual. He confessed to the 2 murders that had just taken place and then went a step further. He confessed to the other 8 murders that had been plaguing the area, the unsolved cases that had been giving sleepless nights to law enforcement. Imagine the scene, the voice on the other end of the phone eerily calm, describing in vivid detail the gruesome acts of violence he had committed. The operator, stunned into silence, listening to the confessions of a monster. Kemper didn't stop at the phone call. He waited for the police to arrive. He didn't resist, didn't try to escape. He sat there, in the house of horrors he had created, ready to face the consequences of his actions. His cooperation with the authorities was startling. He provided them with detailed accounts of his crimes, showed them where he had disposed of his victims' bodies. His self-awareness was as chilling as his crimes. He knew what he was, what he had done. He didn't try to justify his actions, didn't try to plead insanity. He simply told his story, a story of horror and brutality. He was ready to face the music, to pay for his sins. After taking the lives of 10 people, Kemper was finally ready to face the consequences of his actions. In the courtroom, Kemper's monstrous deeds were laid bare for all to see. His trial was a spectacle, a parade of horror that gripped the nation. His defense, in a desperate bid to spare him from the death penalty, argued for insanity, pointing to his troubled childhood and perverse obsession with death as proof. But the prosecution painted a different picture, one of a cold, calculating killer who knew exactly what he was doing. They highlighted Kemper's chilling confessions, his meticulous planning, and his disturbing fascination with his victims. The jury was left with little doubt about his guilt, and Kemper was handed 8 life sentences, with no chance of parole. In the cold, harsh confines of prison, Kemper became an object of study for law enforcement and psychologists. He was, after all, not your typical murderer. With an IQ of 145, Kemper was more intelligent than 99.9% of the population. His chilling insights into his own mind and the minds of other killers became invaluable in the study of criminal psychology. He participated in hundreds of hours of interviews, revealing the twisted thoughts that drove him to kill. He spoke of his hatred for his mother, his desire for power, and his need to dominate, painting a dark portrait of a man consumed by his own demons. His interviews have since been used to train law enforcement officers, helping them understand and catch other killers. Despite his contributions to criminal psychology, Kemper's life in prison has been far from easy. He has been kept in solitary confinement for his own safety, and he has attempted suicide twice. Yet, he seems to have come to terms with his fate, once stating, "I am an animal, I am a monster, I belong in a cage." Edmund Kemper, a man of intelligence and horror, remains a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human mind. His story, as disturbing as it is, serves as a stark warning of the depths to which humanity can sink when consumed by hatred and obsession. Decades later, the name Edmund Kemper still sends a shiver down the spine. His monstrous acts, gruesome in detail, have left an indelible mark on the field of criminal psychology. His willingness to share insights into his twisted psyche has provided a unique, albeit disturbing, perspective on the mind of a serial killer, aiding in the development of criminal profiling techniques. Kemper's legacy extends beyond the academic realm into the sphere of popular culture. His chilling tale has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and true crime podcasts. His character was even brought to life on screen in Netflix's hit series Mindhunter, further cementing his place in the public consciousness. Yet as we delve into the depths of his heinous crimes, it's crucial to remember the lives cut short, the families shattered, and the pain inflicted. A disturbing figure in the annals of true crime, Edmund Kemper's story continues to both fascinate and horrify us, serving as a grim reminder of the depths of human depravity.